Ever since the start of the coronavirus pandemic, sustainable habits that I thought I would never go back on, I'm suddenly rethinking. Like, is it safe to bring a reusable bag to the grocery store? And should I be using paper towels instead of reusable washcloths? The only way to conquer fear is to get educated. So I've decided to reach out to two experts who can bring me clarity on using reusables during this crisis. First, I talked to Dr. Schaffner, who is a professor of food microbiology at Rutgers University.
In my lab, we study microorganisms. We've done research on hand washing, which is obviously relevant. We've done research on cross-contamination. It's made it possible for me to get up to speed on coronavirus relatively quickly and then translate what I know from food systems to now start talking about risk around food, around coronavirus, and that sort of thing.
And second, I'm talking to Tom Zaki, a sustainability expert and CEO and founder of recycling company TerraCycle and the reusable service Loop.
What we need to do, no matter if we're using disposables or reusables, do it safely. If it's done well, there's absolutely no concern.
I'm excited to ask them all of my questions.
Since this started, I'm very fearful. I'm using more paper towels than I've ever used. I don't know what to do about reusable bags. In your research and studying of this virus now, should I be taking those precautions of not bringing my bag and just using disposable stuff?
We don't have any research on reusable bags and coronavirus. We do have research on reusable bags where people have tested them for quote unquote germs. You do occasionally find bacteria on reusable bags. That's not really a surprise. My advice is if you are going to use reusable bags, you should wash them on a regular basis. We need to not forget about conventional food safety in this time of coronavirus. So if I were to go to the grocery store and I pick up a package of meat and that package is leaking and that leaks meat juices onto my reusable bag, well, now I've got a contaminated bag and I definitely want to wash that because I don't want to get food poisoning, especially now. I'd have to go to the hospital and I would be taking up space for somebody maybe who's going to have COVID-19 that needs that space in the hospital. I know there's at least one state that has banned them and I know some stores are not allowing them. That doesn't really make sense to me because if I've got a bag with coronavirus on it, it's probably because I have coronavirus. And then what you really want is you really want me not in your store.
Can I go back to my good habit of using reusable cloths?
The situation changes if you have someone in your household who's actively sick, right? So if you're caring for someone who has COVID-19, CDC has some great guidance on their website that you absolutely should be following. If no one in your household is sick, and you're feeling guilty about using all of those paper towels, yeah, I would say you could probably switch back to using cloth towels.
What about gloves? Because I feel like a lot of people are wearing gloves, but then they're still touching their face and they're touching stuff and it's pointless, and then all of a sudden they've wasted a glove.
Just because you're wearing gloves doesn't mean you're magically protected, right? It just means that you've now put an extra barrier in place, but you still have to behave as if your hands could spread contamination because the gloved hands can do it too.
The other thing I'm super worried about is, can coronavirus get onto the products that I'm putting into my basket, and should I be cleaning everything when I take them home?
I think the most important bit of information I want to get out there is that it's really not appropriate to wash fresh fruits and vegetables with soap or with bleach. Recommendations from the FDA and from the CDC say to wash these products in cold water. If it's something that has a hard skin, like a melon product, you can use a scrub brush. First thing I do when I get home from the store is I'll wash my hands. Or I'll use hand sanitizer. Then I'll put my groceries away, and then if I'm feeling like, maybe I'm a little bit worried at that point that I might have coronavirus on my hands again from touching all those groceries, I'll just put on hand sanitizer or wash my hands again. But then the most important thing is before I sit down to eat, that's a really good time to wash my hands or to use hand sanitizer again. And that was a good idea before the pandemic, and that's going to be a good idea after the pandemic too. We have no evidence that people are getting coronavirus from food. We have no evidence that they're getting coronavirus from eating food or from touching food. The overwhelming evidence is that the virus is spread person to person by coughing or sneezing or respiratory droplets.
San Francisco temporarily banned bringing reusable bags to stores because of the coronavirus, and other areas could follow suit. I'm interested to talk to Tom to see how he thinks the coronavirus is going to impact the low waste and reusable movement going forward.
Are you worried moving forward that this is going to change people's relationship to reusables?
It's so important to note, that disposable packaging isn't sterile. I think we have this psychological perception that wrapping something makes it clean, but it doesn't, necessarily mean so. I think the key takeaway is certain models of reuse we should pause, like the reusable cup at a Starbucks, and that was really smart. But reuse overall, if the systems are, managed properly, is just as good, maybe even better than disposability. In a system like Loop, it's the exact opposite. There's a really professionally managed back end, there's a big amount of dwell time, and it's going to be washed incredibly professionally with people wearing really appropriate health and safety equipment. I think we need to think not about a question between disposable and reusable, but what are the right things to do and not do, right? So it's not about wearing a rubber glove, it's don't touch your face. I think in the waste movement, we vilify plastic a lot, but it's really not a material that is evil. It's, using it once and throwing it away. And I think that it's just important as we talk about these things to make sure people are safe, that they have their concerns answered, but also to not over-project fear. Because wouldn't it be a shame if the reuse movement has a massive negative effect because people are misdirecting their concern, and then when this all settles down, not, shifting back to the behavior we've been working so hard to accomplish.
This crisis is just so horrific and unprecedented, and I hope that wherever you are, you're staying safe. If you want to learn more about how you can protect yourself, visit cdc.gov/coronavirus. And of course, what's most important right now is you do whatever makes you feel safe during this crisis. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please share it, and we'll see you next time. Don't worry, I'm gonna still use these. They're gonna be reused.